Okay, we have some issues with your coding. Um, and one of the things I would take a look at is in the learning activity. Your main page should look like this main code that we have here in the learning activity called HTML structure. And they talk about what each of those structures do. So the first thing up here is doc type is missing an exclamation point. This tells the browser that you're using HTML5. Okay. In the head section, we don't use the type anymore. And for HTML5, we just tell it that we have to tell it it's a style sheet. That's how we tell it. And then you have to tell it where to find it. Typically, we don't have it named with usually the first part is the folder name, followed by the style name. And based on what you have here, you don't have a folder called CSS. So in theory, what your coding is supposed to be looking like is you would have a folder called menu.css, and you can't put a dot in a folder name, so that's the reason why you can't have that way. Most of the time what they'll do is they'll have the folder called menu, okay, and then they have the CSS sheet in there. And if that's the case, then all you do is you would say menu.css. Now all you need to do is you need to delete that first portion, because we don't need to put it in a folder. There's no need to put it in a folder. Again, it's just what you're doing is you're telling it where to find it, and so if you put it in a folder, you got to put the folder name in. If you don't, no need to. And in your case, you didn't put it in a folder, so there is no need for that. So let's continue on. Now, right here where it says HI, it should be H1. Okay. So again, minor thing. Anywhere you have headings, just to let you know, it automatically bolds it. So there's no need for a bold tag here for heading 2. Okay. That is just something to work with. Down here at the right here where it says closing body tag, that needs to go right before your closing HTML tag. Okay, it looks like you have an extra opening body tag here as well. So I'm going to delete that. The body tag itself tells the page, the browser, where the page is. So this body tag actually is your page. Okay, so that you have to have all your code inside the body element. So think of it this way, think of it as a Word document, and your Word document is the page. Well, we give it a name called body, and that's all we're doing is we're giving it a name. Now that doesn't mean everything else is correct here. So up here in UL, you forgot to put in a closing UL tag. I don't know what this tag is, and there's no such thing as an L tag. So I'm not sure what that is. This here we're going to put in a closing tag. Same thing with dinner. I'm not sure what a D tag is, what you're trying to do with that. There's no D tag. And we need to put a closing UL tag in. Now let's take a look at your CSS sheet to make sure that is set up correctly. Okay, for H3 you're just missing a closing bracket at the end there. And again, what we're trying to do is if you just take and just do it verbatim, you could actually type in the code the way you see it here and just make some changes. That's your best bet, to go in. I know that most students are not comfortable with working with HTML. That's all right. That's all right. You have to be comfortable because you're going to be working with websites when you become and you get into any type of design job. And so you have to be comfortable with that aspect. And it's really, you work with it on a regular basis in design. So if you're working in InDesign or Illustrator, you're working with paragraph styles and character styles. And that's what we're doing, is we're just naming we're naming our elements with the style name, basically. So if you think of it that way, then it makes your life a lot easier.